now, but he carries it in his watch. He carries her there. That's a wonderful place. And I'm sure he carries it there because he carries her in his heart. Paul says, I do not have any watch, and I do not have a picture of the church in Philippi, but I carry them in my heart. Lovely relationship, is it not? Isn't that a very personal, very wonderful thing? He's still not through. Will you notice? For God is my record, how greatly I long after you all in the bowels of Jesus Christ. Now, don't be afraid of that term. It's considered crude today, but it's not that at all, because even psychology today is saying that very little happens up here. It all happens down here. This is where you fall in love. It's down here. This is where you're motivated, honestly. It's down here. You do very little up here. Maybe you have not discovered that. When the psychologist told me that, I said, well, I'm certainly found out. I've suspected it a long time. But it takes place down here. And Paul says this, and what a beautiful thing it is, that I long after you all in the deep affection, the heart affection of Christ. Just as Christ longs for you, I long for you. Or as someone has said, Paul had the heart of Christ, if you please. And that's exactly what he wants us to have today. Now, this is the beauty, the wonder, and the glory of this epistle. It's this wonderful relationship. Now, Paul's going to talk here in the introduction about three things: confidence, certainty, and cheer. Will you listen to him? Being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. The word is better. It's causative here at the beginning. Instead of being confident, he actually says, since I am confident of this very thing. And confidence is something that comes to the child of God who's trusted Christ. Being confident, or since I'm confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you, he will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. Now, the confidence is here, and also the certainty is here. Being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you, that's past. He says now he will perform it, and the word for perform means to perfect. Dr. Lenski says he'll finish it up. Dr. Vincent says he'll carry it through. The word is the word teleo, and from that word we get telescope, telephone, all of these words that are like telegram, that which goes from here to the end. He's able, he says, to perform it, to perfect it, to complete it. If God has begun a good work in you, he will complete it. You can count on him bringing you right through to the end, to the day of Jesus Christ, if you please. That's the rapture of the church. Now, some men today are confident, but you look at that which they are confident in, the content of it, it'll never come to pass, and there's no certainty there. Paul is saying two things: that there is a confidence for the child of God, and there is a certainty that the child of God can have. Being confident, or since I'm confident of this very thing, that he that hath begun a good work in you, he will complete it. He'll see it through until the day of Jesus Christ. Now, this is my life verse. It came to me when I finished college. It was given to me at that time. And I wish I'd had it before. And it's meant a great deal. I wonder this morning, I wish that I had the power to convey to you this morning what this verse has meant to me, what it could mean to you. I mentioned a while ago in our introduction of driving Saturday a week ago up through Oklahoma. We turned off at a little place named Atoka on Highway 75, and we went over to a place called Callgate, and they just well take that one off the map because it's going to be off the map for long. But you look right across those fields there and hills. You look over down a road into a town I lived in as a boy. That town's never become famous. Looks like it's never going to become, but nevertheless, it's still there. My dad is buried there. And the other day, I looked down that road, and as I did, I went back in memory. I was 14 years old when he died. And I remember getting on my bicycle one morning, and riding out to his grave, and kneeling there. I didn't know very much. I shudder when I think of the ignorance of this country boy at that time. But I knelt there, and the best that I knew how, I told God that I wanted to serve Him. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know anything. I just knew that. I told God the best that I knew how right there and there, I wanted to serve Him. And the other day, when I looked down that road, I reaffirmed that again to God. I do it now with a little more intelligence. And I want to serve Him. But this is the thing that came to me, and it's this. When I go back and I look from that day, and friends, that's been a long time ago. It's been, I better not say, but it's been a long time. When I knelt there, and I'm here to testify that down through the years, God has made that good. Being confident, since I'm confident of this very thing, that He which hath begun a good work in you. I wouldn't have you deceived this morning. Oh, how I failed Him after that. How I got into sin after that, and then I never shall forget of how a pastor that I went to the church and how he told me about the peace of God that comes to a sinner that will trust Christ. Oh, what that meant to my heart and my life at that time. And then, from then on, I have not walked by faith as I should have walked. I went through college discouraged. I went through college. It was time of the Depression, thinking I'd never be able to finish one year after another. And when I finished my senior year, got my degree, my roommate came in. I was sitting on the edge of the bed. He says, "What's the matter? It looked like you lost your best friend." I said, "I lost everything. God's brought me up to this moment, and I can't go to seminary. I don't have a dime. I'm going out this afternoon and hitchhike back to Nashville, Tennessee, my home. I'm going back there." May I say to you that the telephone rang, and I went to the phone. Two dear little ladies in Memphis, Tennessee, that they looked like they walked out of antebellum days. They wore these big high collars with cameos up here. You ladies know what I'm talking about, don't you? Boy, that goes back. They wore those right up to the time of their death. And they said to me, "We want you to come over because we have something for you." Well, they had sent me a tie for graduation. I thought that was their gift. So I went over that afternoon, and when I went in, I could see it was formal because they were all dressed up. And they sat down, and I sat down, and we, had a few pleasantries and exchanges. And they said, "You're going home?" And I said, "Yes." "You're going to school next year?" I said, "I don't know." And one of them got up, and with a tear, she wiped it away, came over, and she handed me an envelope. She said, "I present this to you in the name of my husband." Both of them were widows. He went back and sat down. Then the other one got up, and she came over and handed me an envelope, and she says, "I present this to you in the name of my husband." And then they said to me, "We know you're in a hurry. You want to get going, and we just let you go now. This is what we wanted to do." And I thanked them. And then I went out, and I never shall forget as I left that big home, those big white pillars, I got around the corner just quickly as I could to open those envelopes. And I opened the first one, and there was a check in it for $250. I opened the second one, there was a check in it for $250. There are some of you people here this morning look like you're old enough to remember the Depression. Do you remember how much $500 was during the Depression? It was just this side of $1 million. That's what it was. I want to tell you, I never had as much money in my life as I had that day. And it was that night that somebody told me, being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you, he will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. And I'm here to say this morning that he's made it good. Almost half a century has gone by, and he's made it good. May I say to you today that are here, has God brought you up to this moment?